Hello, my name is Vicki Molta, and this is You and Your Mental Wellness. And we do this show once a month. We've been doing it for about 3 or 4 years now, and the whole purpose is to showcase people who are in recovery, who are living meaningful lives, and to fight the stigma of mental illness and substance abuse. And tonight I have a guest on, George Dillan, who's a recovery and addictions counselor at for the African American Men in Recovery at the Hartford Community Center. So I just want to welcome you on the show.
Thank you.
I just first of all wanted to ask you, how did you get involved in this? How did you find this job and this work? And
Well, I guess I'm a person in recovery, and for a lot of years I always wanted to give back to the community by helping somebody. So I got some education. I was fortunate to get hired by Community Health Services at the time, and I was able to pursue a career in helping folks, and it's been a great career.
Mm-hmm. So what kind of things do you do? What do you do at your job?
I do a number of things. We have group setting. We run a lot of recovery groups, a lot of psychoeducational groups, do a lot of case management of moving them forward to get them to the places that they need to get to. I'm an advocate at the court for people in recovery, or people that have addiction or mental health diagnosis also.
And is it a large number of people, or how does it work? Do you still stay in touch with them after a certain amount of time, or how does it work out? What's the number?
Well,
do you have a large caseload of people?
Well, the program fluctuates up and down depending on if they're ready. One of the greatest things about being in the program is we're ready when you're ready. Mm-hmm. There's no stigma that you have to do certain things. We move at your pace. One of the greatest benefits with people that have been through the program, they're going on to live meaningful lives. They're employed. A lot of them have independent housing. A few of them even work. Well, a couple of them work for the agency itself, and we have a couple that are on the board. Mm-hmm. I have another guy that is actually pursuing the same field, and actually he's about to graduate from I believe it's Manchester Community College, the DART program. So we're moving guys along, and women, because now we incorporate women into this recovery process.
Oh, okay, that's great. So so what I wanted to know was, how did you you told me that you started in 2003. So that's, yes. And you were involved with cultural competency training for counselors?
Yes. I began my recovery process in 2001. I went to, got some courses through, Demas offered it's called PACT, P-A-C-C-T, which is a project for cultural competency training, which will give you enough certification hours with the Connecticut Certification Board to get a counselor in training. Mm-hmm. Along with an internship and doing some work within in the field of counseling.
So did you do that? Did you get
yes.
You got the training and you got certified as a
yes.
counselor?
In training, and I'm actually just finished my senior year at Springfield College. Mm-hmm. I'm preparing to take the Certified Addiction Counselor's test, so I will have a BS and a certification as well.
That's great. And you said that you want to keep going too. You want to move on to get your master's degree. And
yes, I plan on continuing my education. I just want to be able to make sure that I'm an asset to the people in recovery within the city of Hartford where I live.
Right, right. So so you told me, we met before, and you said
yes.
that you want to use your life as an inspiration. You want to make a difference and be productive. So you have 13 years of recovery, you told me.
Yes.
And what was your life like before the recovery? You don't have to get into too much detail.
Before recovery, it was a lot of ups and downs, a lot of bad decisions, a lot of confusion going on, what I wanted to do, how to do it, and just how to get to a place where I no longer wanted to use a substance.
Right. So, did you feel like there was a lot of peer pressure and a lot of,
Yeah, there's a lot of peer pressure. There's a lot of emotions that go on when things aren't going well and you're not feeling well. But more peer pressure that I think everybody says it won't happen to me.
Right.
We all have gotten education of what a drug will do to you, but we all feel like it won't happen to me. A lot of times people use substances because of the fact of different emotions, trying to mask how they feel. They're having a bad day, they want to feel better. If you look on TV, a person takes a drink because he had a rough day at work, so he takes a drink to calm down.
Right.
Well,
right.
people with addiction, because of the brain chemistry, one drink doesn't do for them.
Right.
They drink to excessive portions, or they use substances to an excessive portions where it impacts their life.
Mm-hmm. And so now, now that you're in recovery, when you're feeling those feelings of maybe stressed out and stuff like that, what do you do to help yourself to?
Well, I still attend meetings. I have a set of meetings that I attend pretty much on a regular basis. I have a lot of people in recovery that I reach out to, and these are some of the things I encourage the people that I work with to do. I always tell them, find a home group so somebody will know who you are, and can tell when you're not having a good day and maybe could be there to help you. Having a sponsor, someone you can call and tell how you're feeling, what problems you're dealing with, that could give you some good advice and how not to end up picking up a substance. So these are some of the coping skills that I taught through our program also.
And you told me that there are certain people in your life that have helped you along the way too. Do you want to say something about that?
Yeah, there are so many. I have a sponsor that truly encourages me. I have people that are in this field that have encouraged me to continue. I have people that, college professors, as well as, like I said, I've worked with the Hartford Community Court. I have the community relations manager, Ms. Deborah Barrows, Chris Pleasanton, Judge Raymond Norco, oh my gosh, Judge Santos, I don't want to forget nobody, and Mr. O'Brien, Tom O'Brien, the prosecutor, that have given me so much education in working with the criminal justice system itself and adding the recovery to it so it comes and cohesively works for the individuals.
Right. And you also said that you have a friend, like a best friend, and also your family too. But you have a friend.
Yeah. I have a best friend that will do anything to keep me succeeding. As you know, educational costs can be very expensive, and some days, you can struggle with buying books and whatever. And if he hears about it, the first thing he says is, "You didn't call me." We're going to make sure you stay in school. We're going to make sure you succeed. We're going, he'll call me, ask me, have I studied? And more than anything, he's just he's been in recovery too, and he has taken me places, and we've worked together in different arenas.
Is he like a mentor in a way, or is it more an equal type give and take type?
It's funny. He worked in the field as they call EF, early intervention person that goes out and help people get into treatment, help people get what they need. And he's went from one extreme to the next. Now he's in charge and one of the founders of the Hartford Harm Reduction Coalition, which is beginning to come to surface within the city to help people deal with overdose. And how can we reduce the number of overdoses? And right now he's training people to use an overdose kit. which is just new in the country. So it's people like that that have goals, they have aspirations of life, and they have a lot of hard work in moving forward and making a difference in the community.
So you kind of keep each other in check.
Yes,
in a way.
and I think the greatest gift of being in recovery is I think every person in the world wants to make a difference
Right.
somewhere in their life. And because of my recovery background, because of my work in the community, in the places and things I do within the community, I'm able to make a difference in the community. So,
And there are a couple other questions I want to ask about your work too. You said that you run groups and psychoeducational groups and
Yes.
things like that. You told me that there are people from all different educational levels and different backgrounds that you work with. So how are you able to reach people who are from different?
well, you have what you really when in a psychoeducational group, there might be material that you're going over. People handouts that you're reading, and you never want to give a guy, first of all, once you do an assessment and you know a guy's educational level, you wouldn't give a guy that has very little education or that struggles with reading something to read. What you never want to do is lower anyone's self-esteem within a group setting, whereas he feels less than the rest of the group.
Right.
You know, it's about empowering each individual in the group to help each other and to help balance out the group itself. So a person that might come through there that has say a high school education or some college that would like to read, allow them to read. The person that doesn't read so well, put it in terms where he understands what you're talking about. Whereas you don't put him on the spot where you, as I said, pull the covers off him that he's not a good reader.
Right.
No one wants to feel less than the next person.
Right. So I guess you just you want to be sensitive to where the person is at. You know,
Exactly.
You said that you want to meet the person where they're at.
Right.
And so I have other things that I wanted to ask you too.
No problem.
So I wanted to ask you about your work in the court system and what you do there, because I think that's really important for people to know that how you advocate for people and what you do in the court system. So if you could just explain a little bit about what you do there in the court.
In the court system, you have a lot of people that have addiction problems that end up with a lot of, I call them quality of life charges or crimes. The simple trespassing, the what they call criminal mischief, or a lot of these six. A lot of times these are drug-fueled crimes, you know, or loitering. The guys hanging out in the corner is what they consider a hot spot or a lot of drug activity. So to move it along and keep it, they end up giving them a ticket, or which is an arrest.
Right.
I can and have been able to identify these people, and if they're willing to want some help for their addiction, we give them the services needed. And if they complete the services and are able to not continue the arrest over and over, they're able to get these charges eliminated off their record, which will help them move forward in their process of life and the quality of life that they want to live.
Right.
So
you told me you said something about education something about educating people about their lives and about who,
Yes.
where they came from is more
Right.
important than.
A lot of times by educating them of what they're going through, how they got there. A lot of them don't know the effects of the addiction itself. So by educating them in the realms of addiction, they get a better outlook of why they're doing these things. A lot of times they don't know why they're committing these larcenies. It's just a part of the drug behavior.
Right.
So by educating them in the area of addiction, substance abuse, and some of them do have mental health diagnosis, and a lot of times we'll be able to catch that as a direct result of an assessment that has not been done. A lot of people may come through there that use substances based on the fact that they've been feeling, as I say, not on an even keel of life, so they use a substance to balance how their feelings, not knowing that that there's other treatments. So we're able to catch a lot of things. We're able to help them get health care. A lot of times, people that use substances don't go to doctors, and you know, by engaging them in some education, they're able to get dental work, get health care, get a physical, and as well as get help with their substance abuse.
Right. 'Cause you told me that you wanted to reach the young people before they get involved in a life of crime. And
Yes, and with hopes, you know, one of the things I would like to see is when you look at your 18-year-olds, they're at that point of life. A lot of them, if they're not employed somewhere, they're hanging around. They're ending up picking up a lot of, as I call them dumb crimes, because they're hanging on corners, and then they end up in the system as a direct result of this. And then when they turn 25 and you realize that you want to get a sustainable job, move out on your own, these type charges can impact you moving on.
that's what I wanted. I was going to ask you that because a lot of people don't know, and I don't really even know either. Once you're in prison for something and you have a record, how long is it? It's permanently on your record, and it's almost impossible to get a job, and so they go back to life of crime.
Well, as we know, when you're sitting in an employee who does a background check, you don't want to get put, as I call it, in that special pile. You know, I'll get to you if I have to. A person without a criminal history has a better chance of getting hired somewhere with a meaningful occupation or training, or even housing looks at your criminal history before you're given an apartment for a lot of the housing. So
do you think there's something wrong with the prison system in this country, the way they're arresting people who are committing minor crimes? And I've also heard that prisons are like the new mental hospital too, because there's so many people with mental health issues that end up in prison too.
Yeah, well, there's people with all walks of life end up in prison. But one of the things I think is very helpful is the officers to know the communities that they're policing. Some of the officers that do very well is the community service officer of a community or area, because he knows a lot of the people. He gets a chance to talk to them, find out what's going on, understand if a kid's not a bad kid, but he's making a bad decision. He's got that relationship where he can talk to them. So by allowing more people to get more sensitivity of the area they're in and understand this is why it's happening, they're able to get better outlook on stuff.
So it's important to have that police officer in the community that can kind of sway the person another way.
If you have a police officer, and it's better relationships within the community also. If the community has a good outlook on the officer that's patrolling, they're more apt to do what he's asking them to do. And it's less tension within that community. Everybody, there's numerous people that don't want to see crime on the street. But if you don't have a relationship, you're not going to get the answers you need.
Right. So do you think things have gotten better in reaching out to people who have substance use issues? Do you think it's more open and there's less stigma, or what do you think about that? Like since like from when you started your recovery 14 years ago, do you think it's more out in the open and more places to get help? And
yeah, there are places to get help. Unfortunately, insurances don't pay for the number of days everybody needs based on certain insurances. Some insurances only will pay 14 days. and that impacts the person that really needs 30 days. That insurance won't pay for them to be there long enough. So you have outpatient places that will help them sustain their recovery if they're willing to do the work. And that's one of the greatest things about some of the health centers within the city of Hartford, as well as the one that I was affiliated with. And there are outpatient, ADRC has an intensive outpatient, which people that need a slightly higher level of care have somewhere to go. So there are places to go, but they get filled up and there are long waiting lists.
Really?
Yes.
So when you advocate for people, you said something about 5 years. Is the 5-year rule where so if they're clean for 5 years, then they can have their record
Yes,
erased?
with the Connecticut pardon team, you need to be without a charge or out of the system minimum 5 years. There's an extensive application, but they will walk you through it, help advocate for you if you need references. And people have got I've known about 3-4 people that have gotten their record expunged as a direct result of staying clean and doing what's right.
And hopefully that'll keep continuing on
I
in the
think it will.
future, because the crimes are they're just, some of them are so petty, and
Yes.
There were some other things I wanted to ask you too. Let's see. Do you think you're a peer, because you've been where people have been at, do you think people in recovery are more effective as counselors and in working with clients versus someone who's mostly just gone to school and doesn't really have the lived experience?
I think that it all has its place. I think people that have had experience with substances do very well in advocating what's going on, what to expect, because they've been through it. But I won't say a person that hasn't had a recovery experience is not effective. It's how you address the issue with the person. It's hard to tell a person how they're feeling if you've never felt that. So take time to ask them.
Right, right. So were you one of the first people that was open about your recovery that was hired 13 years ago, or?
I won't say I'm the first, but I am a person that have, my self-disclosure in a professional setting has its place. It's not something that I go to self-disclose for my own benefit. I may self-disclose because I want a person to understand that it is possible and help them, empower them to make the next move. There's a lot of doubt that life doesn't get better. It takes a long time for you to actually see that life is getting better when you first get in recovery.
Right, right. Well, there's I'm trying to think. You give people hope using your life as inspiration, and you told me that broken people need to be fixed.
Yes.
So what did you mean by that?
Well, I see, broken people need, they're broke, so they need, as like you say, if you have a toy and it's broke, you put the glue on, you hold the glue to its it bonds, and then they go on. So people in recovery need somebody in the beginning. I really truly believe that sober houses are a good connection of that bonding process, because they all have the same agenda. We're working on a day of staying clean together. So once you've done that for a while, you've got, as I say, you've got some stability on how to walk in the process of recovery. And you continue. Meetings are well. If some of us need outside help, so if you have mental health issues, having a therapist that can help you deal with how you're feeling as well. And it all it all comes together when you just put it all together.
Right.
You know, put it all in the mixing bowl, mix it up, and come up with a great recipe.
Yeah. And you also mentioned, well, I want you to say it because I feel like I'm,
Yeah.
answering a lot of the questions, but the role of the family.
Family plays a big part. A lot of times, by the time a person goes to treatment, they've burnt a lot of bridges. I know for myself, before I got clean, I had burned a lot of bridges. My kids were very disappointed, in the where I had went with life, and I was able to, through recovery, rebuild all that. My son, I'm his biggest fan. He's one of my biggest fans. My daughters, my God, my daughters tell me if any of their friends are drinking too much. I have a daughter that's in college, and she comes, you need to come up on the campus and talk to some of these people. And I have a daughter that's doing very well, and she calls me her hero.
Oh.
So, to come from a place where you've burnt a lot of bridges to a place in recovery where you have rebuilt all those bridges, and everybody's back on the same page.
That's great. Well, you must be really proud of your children, and it must be very gratifying to be able to reconnect and be involved with them again. And so I know we only have a couple of minutes left. It's hard to believe, but I wanted you do other things besides your work and besides going to school. There are other things you do too. Do you want to bring those up?
Okay, yeah, I belong with a number of organizations that are out to help other people. I belong to an organization called Hearts of Gold. We're just bringing the community together through our community cookout, as well as we just finished doing a toy drive to all the sober houses. Actually, the last couple of days, which was really beautiful. We sponsor a Little League team, empowering the young kids to do stuff. So I belong with organizations that want to help rebuild a community that has been broken.
And how does you prevent burnout? Because you're so busy, you've got so much on your plate.
Yeah.
What do you do to?
Well, when you're having fun doing what you're doing, burnout is not an issue. You enjoy doing it. It's like a kid that wants to go to the basketball court every day because he has fun there. This is what I love to do. This is why, empowering a community and being a part of a community is what it's all about.
Well, I just wanted to thank you so much. I was going to ask you the final question. What would you tell people who are struggling with, in just a couple of seconds, because we only have a couple seconds left, but what would you tell people out there if they're struggling with substance use? Get
some help. Attend the meeting, raise your hand, say, I'm new, get involved, get a sponsor, and remember, recovery is not recovery is an action sport, not a sit down. You can't sit there and do nothing and expect it to happen. You got to get involved.
It's an inside job.
It's an inside job, yes.
Well, thank you, George, for being on the show, and I also want to thank Jeff for doing the camera work and editing, and I want to thank Abigail White for running the studio, and I just want to thank the audience for listening in, and I'll just see you next month. Thank you.
Thank you.